Keisha Cross was about to shatter every rule that kept her alive. Mrs. Park's hands trembled as she zipped up the red silk dress, the one color explicitly forbidden to staff in the mansion that breathed wealth and danger in equal measure, the one color that meant something dangerous in Min Yi-sung's world. "You wear this, or you don't work tonight," the housekeeper said, her eyes holding a warning Keisha couldn't decode. What Keisha didn't know was that across the estate, Seoul's most feared crime lord had given a specific order that morning, one that would change everything the moment she stepped into that ballroom. The red dress wasn't a uniform, it was a claim, a trap, and a test she never agreed to take. Welcome to K-Stories by Aurora. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. Also tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Let's dive in. The mansion breathed wealth and danger in equal measure. Keisha Cross learned this truth her first week working in the Min estate, a sprawling fortress of marble and secrets perched above Seoul like a predator watching its territory. The other maids whispered warnings during breakfast. They spoke in hushed Korean, then broken English when they remembered the Nigerian girls scrubbing floors beside them. Never look Mr. Min in the eyes. Never speak unless spoken to. Never, ever wear red. Keisha nodded along, memorizing rules that felt like survival instructions. She needed this job. After her mother's medical bills drained everything and her student visa expired, cleaning toilets for South Korea's most feared crime lord seemed like the only option that didn't involve a one-way ticket back to Lagos. At least here, the monsters wore expensive suits. She'd seen Min Yi-sung exactly 3 times in 2 months. Each encounter lasted seconds, a blur of sharp cheekbones and darker eyes as he moved through corridors with Do-yeon, his second-in-command, trailing like a shadow. The staff scattered when he approached, becoming invisible through practice and fear. Keisha understood. She'd grown up around men like him, men who took what they wanted and left bodies behind. Her father had been one before a rival's bullet found him when she was 12. She knew the game. Keep your head down, stay unremarkable, survive. But survival required money, and money meant working the annual charity gala, a mandatory event where Seoul's elite pretended the Min fortune came from legitimate shipping ventures rather than everything the police couldn't prove. The head housekeeper, Mrs. Park, distributed uniforms that morning. Black dresses, white aprons, invisible armor for invisible women. Keisha reached for hers, but Mrs. Park's weathered hand stopped her. "You serve VIP room tonight?" The older woman's English was precise, each word deliberate. Different uniform required. She produced a garment bag. Keisha unzipped it in the staff bathroom, expecting another variation of black polyester. Her breath caught. Red silk spilled across her hands like liquid fire. The dress was stunning, a fitted bodice that would hug every curve before flowing into an elegant skirt. Thin straps, a modest neckline that somehow felt dangerous anyway, and fabric that caught light like rubies. "Mrs. Park," Keisha called out, emerging into the hallway. "I think there's been a mistake. You said never wear." "VIP room has different rules." Mrs. Park's expression was unreadable. "You wear this, or you don't work tonight. Your choice." Keisha calculated quickly. Tonight's pay included a bonus that would cover 3 months of her mother's medication. She thought of the warnings, of the careful distance she'd maintained. Then she thought of her mother's last email. "The treatments are working, baby. Don't worry about the costs." "I'll wear it," Keisha said. Mrs. Park's eyes flickered with something that might have been pity or admiration. "Then you better make sure you look perfect. Mr. Min will be watching." Keisha felt the weight of eyes the moment she entered the mansion's grand ballroom. The gala was a study in controlled chaos, crystal chandeliers throwing diamonds of light across Seoul's criminal elite dressed in designer labels, their laughter sharp as the champagne they drank. Politicians mingled with businessmen who were definitely not businessmen. Everyone wore masks of civility while deals for drugs, guns, and influence happened behind smiles. Keisha moved through the crowd with a tray of hors d'oeuvres, hyper-aware of the red silk against her brown skin. The dress fit like it was made for her, which should have been her first warning. Mrs. Park knew her measurements too well. This was a setup. She just didn't know for what. "The Nigerian girl," someone murmured in Korean as she passed. She'd picked up enough to understand the tone, if not all the words. Speculation, interest, hunger. Keisha kept her expression neutral, her movements efficient. Serve, smile, vanish. The same strategy she'd used navigating Lagos's streets applied here, be useful, not memorable. Then she felt it. A gaze that pressed against her skin like a physical touch, heavy and inescapable. Her instincts screamed danger, the same warning system that had kept her alive through her father's world. She turned slowly, scanning the crowd. Across the ballroom, elevated on a dais where the most powerful guests held court, Min Yi-sung stared directly at her. Not through her, at her. Keisha's first coherent thought was that the whispers hadn't done him justice. At 32, Min Yi-sung was beautiful the way a blade was beautiful, all clean lines and lethal purpose. His black suit was perfectly tailored, his dark hair swept back to reveal features that belonged on magazine covers, not wanted posters. But it was his eyes that trapped her. Dark, intense, and fixed on her with an attention that made her feel naked despite the dress. She should have looked away. Every survival instinct demanded it. Instead, she met his gaze. The moment stretched, crystallized. Around them, the gala continued, music, laughter, deals. But Keisha felt suspended in amber, pinned by those eyes. She watched Yi-sung's expression shift. Surprise first, as if no one had dared hold his stare before. Then something else. Something dangerous and hungry and possessive. He said something to Do-yeon without breaking eye contact. His second-in-command leaned in, listened, straightened with visible tension. Keisha's tray trembled. "You're the new Nigerian." The voice came from her left, a businessman with 2 white teeth and wandering hands. He reached for her waist. "Let me show you how we treat pretty girls in." His words died as a hand clamped on his shoulder. "Touch her again," Do-yeon said quietly, "and you won't have hands." The businessman paled and vanished into the crowd. Do-yeon studied Keisha with the expressionless mask of a professional soldier assessing a threat. "Mr. Min requests you attend the VIP room. Now." It wasn't a request. Keisha followed him through the ballroom, feeling hundreds of eyes tracking her progress. The whispers grew louder. In 2 months of invisibility, she'd just become the center of attention for Seoul's most dangerous people. All because of a red dress. The VIP room was smaller, quieter, a private salon where only the inner circle gathered. Keisha counted 8 men, all radiating the particular tension of predators forced to share territory. They stopped talking when she entered. Yi-sung sat at the head of a black leather sofa, a glass of whiskey in one hand. He'd removed his jacket. His white shirt was open at the collar, revealing a throat she had no business noticing. "Leave us," he said in English, his accent making the words silk over steel. The room emptied in seconds. Even Do-yeon withdrew, though his expression suggested he thought this was a terrible idea. Keisha stood alone with the most dangerous man in Seoul, wearing a dress that suddenly felt like a target painted on her skin. "Do you know why you're here?" Yi-sung asked, his eyes traveling slowly from her face down to her feet and back up, a deliberate assessment that made her pulse hammer. "To serve guests," Keisha managed, adding how breathless she sounded. "Liar," he smiled, and it transformed his face from beautiful to devastating. "Mrs. Park told you never to wear red. You wore it anyway, so I ask again, do you know why you're here?" Keisha's mind raced. This was a test, but she didn't know the rules. "I needed the money." "Truth." He took a sip of whiskey, considering. "But not the whole truth. You could have refused, found another way. Instead, you put on a red dress and walked into my domain like you belonged here." He stood, and suddenly the room felt smaller. "That takes either stupidity or courage. Which is it, Keisha Cross?" He knew her name. Of course he knew her name. Men like Min Yi-sung made it their business to know everything. "Maybe both," she said, lifting her chin. "Probably more the first one." His laugh was unexpected, genuine and low, like she'd surprised him again. Honesty, how refreshing. He moved closer, each step deliberate. Do you know what the red dress means in my world? Mrs. Park said VIP room has different rules. Mrs. Park works for me. She put you in that dress because I ordered it. He was close enough now that she could smell his cologne, something expensive and understated. In my organization, red means claimed, protected, mine. Keisha's breath caught. I don't belong to anyone. No, he reached out slowly, giving her time to retreat and caught a strand of her hair between his fingers. Then why are you trembling? Because you're dangerous. Yes, his eyes were dark galaxies pulling her in, but not to you, never to you. It was insane. They'd spoken for 3 minutes, and he was already rewriting reality. This was obsession, not attraction, the kind of fixation that got women killed when they stopped being interesting. Keisha stepped back. Mr. Min. Yi Sung. His hand fell away, but his gaze held her captive. You'll call me Yi Sung, and you'll move from the staff quarters to the family wing tomorrow. I'm a maid. You were a maid. He said it like he was remaking the world with words alone. Now you're under my protection, my house, my care. His voice dropped lower, intimate. Mine to keep safe. This is crazy. But even as Keisha said it, she felt the dangerous pull. This beautiful, terrifying man was offering her something she'd never had: safety, protection, a place in the world that didn't require her to be invisible. It was a trap. It had to be. Crazy, Yi Sung smiled again, and this time there was something almost vulnerable in it. Yes, from the moment you looked at me instead of away, from the moment you wore red. He moved to the window overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. I've built an empire on fear and violence. I've done things that would make you run screaming, but when you looked at me tonight, he turned back. I saw something I didn't know I was missing. And what's that? A reason to be more than this. The words hung between them, impossible and intoxicating. I don't even know you, Keisha whispered. Then let me court you properly. Yi Sung crossed back to her, stopping just short of touching. Stay in the family wing. Let me prove I'm worth the risk. And if you still want to leave after a month, his jaw tightened. I'll let you go, I promise. She should run. Every instinct screamed it. Instead, Keisha heard herself say, 1 month. His smile was blinding. 1 month. He raised his hand, and she thought he'd touch her face. Instead, he brushed his thumb across her collarbone, just above the dress's neckline, a promise of more later when she was ready. Tomorrow, Do-yeon will move your things. Tonight, enjoy the party. He stepped back, restoring distance. And Keisha, wear red whenever you want. Let them all know who you belong to. I don't belong to anyone, he finished, his expression knowing. I remember, but you'll come to me anyway because you feel it too. This, he gestured between them. Whatever this is. He left before she could argue, leaving her alone in the VIP room, pulse racing and world tilting. Keisha looked down at the red dress, at the way silk clung to her curves. What had she just agreed to? The family wing was a revelation. While the staff quarters had been functional, shared rooms with narrow beds and communal bathrooms, Keisha's new suite was a study in luxury. A bedroom larger than her childhood apartment in Lagos. A bathroom with a soaking tub and shower that could fit 3 people. A walk-in closet currently empty except for the handful of clothes she owned. And everywhere red. Red silk sheets on the massive bed. Red roses in crystal vases. A red dress hanging in the closet, designer, clearly expensive with a note in sharp handwriting, for tomorrow, JS. Keisha sank onto the bed, head spinning. 24 hours ago, she'd been scrubbing floors. Now she occupied a room that probably cost more monthly than her mother's medical bills, because a Mafia boss saw her in a red dress and decided she was his. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Sleep well. You're safe here. I have guards posted outside your door, not to keep you in but to keep everyone else out. JS. Another message followed immediately. Too much. I'm trying not to overwhelm you. Do-yeon says I'm terrible at this. Despite everything, Keisha smiled. There was something endearing about Seoul's most feared crime lord texting awkward courtship messages at midnight. She typed back, "It's a lot, but thank you for the room, it's beautiful." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Not as beautiful as you in red. Sleep, Keisha. Tomorrow I show you my world." She should be terrified. Instead, she fell asleep feeling safer than she had in years. Keisha woke to soft knocking. She'd barely opened the door when a parade of staff entered. Stylists, makeup artists, women carrying garment bags and shoe boxes. "Mr. Min's orders," the lead stylist explained in perfect English. "He wants you comfortable but appropriate for the business lunch." "Business lunch," Keisha repeated. "You'll accompany him this afternoon. First, we make you perfect." 2 hours later, Keisha barely recognized herself. The red dress fit like a second skin, elegant and sophisticated, with Yi-sung's possessive claim written in every seam. Her natural curls had been styled into soft waves. Minimal makeup enhanced her features without hiding them. She looked like she belonged in this world. The thought was dangerous. Do-yeon collected her at noon, his expression carefully neutral. "Boss is waiting in the west courtyard. You look," he paused, "like trouble." "Is that a compliment?" "From me, yes." He led her through corridors she'd cleaned but never really seen, art worth millions, artifacts from dynasties long dead, evidence of wealth accumulated through violence. "You should know what you're walking into." "A business lunch." Do-yeon snorted. "A demonstration. Yi-sung's enemies will be there, his allies too. He's introducing you as his." He searched for the word. "As someone under his protection, it's a message." "What message?" "That touching you means death." Do-yeon's voice was flat. "So when you walk in on his arm, remember, every eye will judge if you're worth it, worth his attention, worth starting a war over." Keisha's stomach twisted. "And if they decide I'm not?" "Then they'll try to use you against him." Do-yeon stopped at a door opening onto a sunlit courtyard. "Which is why you need to be strong. Show them you belong at his side." The door opened, and Keisha's breath caught. Yi-sung stood beside a black Mercedes, talking on his phone in rapid Korean. He wore a charcoal suit that made him look like sin and money in equal measure. When he saw her, he ended the call mid-sentence. The way he looked at her should be illegal. "Keisha," he said her name like a prayer, "you're stunning." "You sound surprised." She descended the stairs, hyper-aware of Do-yeon's words. "Be strong. Show them you belong." "Not surprised, grateful." Yi-sung offered his arm. "Thank you for agreeing to this. I know it's fast, but in my world, hesitation is weakness. I need to establish your position before others mistake your status." "As your maid?" she asked archly. His smile was sharp. "As my most precious possession." "I'm not a possession." "No," he opened the car door for her. "You're the woman who's going to change my entire world." The possession comment was for everyone else's benefit. They understand ownership. They don't understand. He searched for words. "Whatever you're making me feel." Keisha slid into the car, pulse racing. Yi-sung joined her in the back while Do-yeon took the driver's seat. The privacy screen rose silently. "Are you frightened?" Yi-sung asked quietly. "Terrified," Keisha admitted. "I don't understand any of this. Yesterday I was invisible. Today I'm apparently worth starting a war over." "Not apparently, definitely." He shifted closer, not touching but near enough that she felt his heat. "You asked me last night what changed. Want the truth?" "Always. I've been empty for so long I forgot what feeling alive meant. Power, money, fear, they're hollow. They fill the hours but not the void." His eyes held hers. "Then you looked at me, really looked like you saw past the monster to whoever I used to be, or whoever I could become." "That's a lot of pressure to put on a girl you just met." "I know, but I've never lied to you and I won't start now." He took her hand carefully, like she might break. "This month, use it to see if I'm worth the risk, because Keisha, I'm already gone, from the moment you wore red." The car pulled up to a restaurant that screamed exclusivity. No signs, just an unmarked door with a guard who bowed deeply as Yi-sung emerged. He helped Keisha out, tucking her hand into the crook of his arm. "Stay close," he murmured, "and remember you're mine, let them see it." They entered together, and the room fell silent. The restaurant's private room held 15 people, all men, all dangerous, all watching Keisha like wolves evaluating prey. Yi-sung guided her to the head of the table, pulling out a chair beside his. The message was clear. She sat at his right hand, the position of honor and power. "Gentlemen," Yi-sung said in English, presumably for her benefit, "this is Keisha Cross. She is under my personal protection. Any disrespect toward her is disrespect toward me." Silence, then an older man with silver hair laughed. "You bring your flavor of the month to a business meeting, Min. How? Western." The temperature dropped. "Say that again," Yi-sung said softly, "and I'll cut out your tongue." Keisha felt every eye on her, measuring her reaction. Do-yeon's words echoed, "Show them you belong." She leaned back in her chair, crossing her legs slowly. "Actually, I prefer strategic acquisition over flavor of the month. It has a better ring to it, don't you think?" A beat of shocked silence. Then the room erupted in laughter, nervous but real. The tension broke like a snapped wire. Yi-sung's hand found hers under the table, squeezing gently. His expression remained neutral, but his eyes danced. "I like her," a younger man announced. "She's got fire." "She's got more than that," Yi-sung said, lifting his glass. "She's got my protection, my respect, and my complete attention. Anyone who forgets this will answer to me personally." The lunch proceeded, business talk Keisha only partially understood, discussions of territories and shipments that were definitely illegal. But she noticed something interesting. Yi-sung translated quietly when technical terms arose. He included her in conversations, asking her opinion on strategies. He treated her like an equal, not an ornament. And the men responded. By dessert, they addressed her directly, seeking her input. She caught Do-yeon watching from the corner, his expression almost proud. But one man remained hostile. Late 40s, scar across his left cheek, eyes like chips of ice. "Tell me, Miss Cross," he said in accented English, "what makes you qualified to sit at this table, your pretty face?" The room tensed. Keisha met his gaze steadily. "I grew up in Lagos. My father ran guns for local syndicates until someone put 3 bullets in him. I know what this world costs." She leaned forward. "So I'm qualified because I'm not naive enough to think any of you are gentlemen, and I'm smart enough to know when I'm being tested." The scarred man studied her. Then he smiled, sharp and approving. "You chose well, Min. She's strong." "I know," Yi-sung said simply. His hand tightened on hers. "I know." The lunch ended with deals made and allegiances reinforced. Yi-sung led Keisha out into the afternoon sun, Do-yeon trailing behind. "You were perfect," Yi-sung said once they were in the car. "Smart, strong, unintimidated. They'll respect you now." "I was terrified the entire time." "I know, that's what made it perfect." He pulled her close, tucking her against his side. "Courage isn't the absence of fear, Keisha. It's moving forward despite it." She relaxed into him, feeling the solid warmth of his body, the steady beat of his heart. This was insane. She barely knew him. But Do-yeon was right, she was in trouble. The dangerous kind. Because she was starting to trust him. Keisha's new life unfolded like a fever dream. Days were spent learning the household's real rhythms, not as staff, but as Yi-sung's. What? Girlfriend felt too simple. Possession too objectifying. She existed in undefined territory, powerful and precarious. Yi-sung courted her with single-minded intensity. Breakfast together every morning, where he'd listen to her stories about Lagos and share carefully edited versions of his childhood. Dinners when his business allowed, always asking about her day, her thoughts, her dreams. He gave her space but remained present, a text checking if she'd eaten, flowers appearing in her room, books on subjects they'd discussed. It was overwhelming and intoxicating. And confusing. "He hasn't touched you," Mrs. Park observed one afternoon, helping Keisha arrange new clothes in her closet. The older woman had transformed from strict supervisor to something approaching a mentor. Not beyond hand-holding. This surprises me. Keisha folded a red blouse, trying to ignore her burning cheeks. Why? Because Yi-sung takes what he wants, always has, but with you, Mrs. Park smiled. He's being careful, respectful, like you're something precious he's afraid to break. Is that good? It means he's serious. Mrs. Park's expression turned grave. Which makes you dangerous to him. His enemies will see you as a weakness to exploit. Do-yeon said something similar. Do-yeon is smart. Listen to him. Mrs. Park touched Keisha's shoulder. But also listen to your heart. I've worked for the Min family for 30 years. I've never seen Yi-sung look at anyone the way he looks at you. That night, Yi-sung invited her to his private study, a room she'd glimpsed but never entered. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Seoul's skyline. Shelves held books in Korean, English, and Japanese. A desk commanded the space like a throne. I want to show you something, he said, pouring 2 glasses of wine. He handed her one, then opened a drawer and withdrew a leather-bound folder. Inside were photographs. A young boy with Yi-sung's eyes but softer features, standing beside an elegant woman. More photos showed the boy aging, 10, 12, 15. Always alone, always serious. My father died when I was 16, Yi-sung said quietly. Heart attack during a meeting with rivals. I inherited everything overnight. The business, the debts, the enemies. Keisha studied a photo of teenage Yi-sung at what must have been his father's funeral. His face was blank, but his hands were clenched into fists. I had to become hard, he continued. Ruthless. Men 3 times my age wanted to take what was mine, so I showed them I could be worse than my father ever was. He took the folder back, closing it. I've killed people, Keisha, ordered deaths, done things that keep me awake at night. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve truth. He set down his wine, facing her fully. Before this goes further, you need to know who I am, what I've done, so you can decide if someone like me deserves someone like you. Keisha's heart twisted. This powerful, dangerous man was offering her an out, being vulnerable in a way that probably terrified him. She set down her own glass and stepped close. Can I ask you something? Anything. If you could go back, would you change it? He didn't hesitate. Some of it, the unnecessary cruelty, the violence I ordered out of pride rather than necessity. His jaw tightened. But the survival, the protection of what's mine, no, I'd do it again. Then you're not a monster, Keisha said softly. You're a man who did what he had to in a world that doesn't forgive weakness. Keisha, I'm not done. She placed her hand on his chest, feeling his heart race. You want to know if you deserve me? Wrong question. The question is whether we deserve each other, because I'm not some innocent angel, Yi-sung. I've lied, stolen, done things I'm not proud of to survive. We're both products of violence. But you're good, he insisted. You have kindness in you, softness. And you don't, she smiled. You've been nothing but gentle with me, patient, respectful. You could have taken anything you wanted, but you didn't. You asked, you waited. Her hand moved to his face. That's who you are with me. That's the man I'm getting to know. Yi-sung closed his eyes, leaning into her touch like it was salvation. You make me want to be better. Then be better, with me. When he opened his eyes, they were blazing with intensity. Can I kiss you? I thought you'd never ask. He moved slowly, giving her 1,000 chances to retreat. His hand cupped her face with devastating gentleness. When his lips met hers, the kiss was soft, searching, nothing like the demanding passion she'd expected. It was a question, a promise, a beginning. Keisha melted into him, answering with her own tentative exploration. His other hand found her waist, pulling her closer. The kiss deepened, and she felt his control fracturing, the leashed hunger underneath. He pulled back, breathing hard. I should stop. Why? Because if I don't, I won't want to. His eyes were dark with desire. And you deserve better than me rushing this. Keisha laughed breathlessly. What if I don't want you to stop? Keisha, her name was a groan. You're killing me. Good. She kissed him again, bolder now. We can be patient together, But don't hold back because you think I'm fragile. I'm not. I know. He rested his forehead against hers. You're the strongest person I've ever met. That's why this terrifies me. Losing you would destroy me. Then don't lose me. I don't intend to. His smile was possessive and tender all at once. You're mine, remember. Only if you're mine too. Deal. They stood there, wrapped in each other, while Seoul glittered beyond the windows. Two broken people finding something whole in each other. It was the first night Keisha believed this might actually work. Week 2 brought complications. Keisha woke to urgent knocking. Do-yeon stood outside, expression grim. Get dressed, we have a situation. 5 minutes later, she entered Yi-sung's study to find him behind his desk, jaw tight with barely controlled rage. Blood stained his knuckles. What happened? She asked. Someone made a move. Yi-sung stood, moving to the window. The Viper Collective, they're testing boundaries. What kind of moves? Do-yeon answered. They grabbed one of our distribution managers, left him beaten with a message they know about you. They're threatening to make you a target if we don't cede territory. Ice flooded Keisha's veins. So I'm a liability. No, Yi-sung spun around, crossing to her in 3 strides. He gripped her shoulders, not hard but firm. You're not a liability, you're mine, and they just made a fatal mistake threatening you. Yi-sung, maybe I should. Don't, his eyes blazed. Don't suggest leaving. Don't suggest hiding. You're under my protection, and I will burn their entire organization to the ground before I let them touch you. This is exactly what they want, Do-yeon said carefully. They're trying to provoke you into a war. Then they'll get one. Yi-sung's voice was cold. Gather the men. I want every Viper Collective location identified. Their suppliers, their contacts, their families, everything. Boss. Do it. Do-yeon left. Yi-sung released Keisha, running a hand through his hair. I'm sorry, you shouldn't see me like this. Like what? Protective? She touched his bloody knuckles. What did you do to the messenger? You don't want to know. Yes, I do. She met his eyes steadily. If I'm going to be part of your world, I need to see all of it, not just the courtship and pretty dresses. He studied her for a long moment. Then, I broke his hands, both of them. He threatened you, so I made sure he'd never hold a weapon again. Keisha should feel horror. Instead, she felt safe, protected. This man would do anything to keep her from harm. Thank you, she said softly. Surprise flickered across his face. For violence. For protecting me, for not hiding who you are. She stepped closer. But Yi-sung, don't start a war on my account, please. There has to be another way. There isn't. His voice was gentle but final. In this world, showing weakness is death. They threatened you, so I have to respond overwhelmingly. It's the only language they understand. Then let me help. Absolutely not. Listen to me. Keisha grabbed his face, forcing him to focus. I grew up in this world, remember? I know how it works. You can't just react, that's what they want. You need to be smarter. What are you suggesting? A countermove. Show them I'm not a weakness but a strength. That taking me on means taking on both of us. Her mind raced. Do you have leverage on them? Anything they value. Yi-sung's expression shifted, thoughtful. Their second in command has a daughter, art student in Paris. She's kept separate from the business. Protected. Heavily. Then that's your message. You don't touch her. That would make you the monster they think you are. But you let them know you could. That you have eyes on her. That if they come after me, nothing they love is safe. Yi-sung stared at her, something like awe in his eyes. You're brilliant. I'm practical. She lowered her hands. Violence begets violence, but the threat of violence, that's power without the cost. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. How are you real? Just lucky, I guess. He laughed, the tension breaking. Lucky, yes, that's what I am with you. That afternoon, Do-yeon delivered Yi-sung's message to the Viper Collective. A photo of their second-in-command's daughter at her favorite cafe in Paris, time-stamped from that morning. No threats. No words, just proof that distance meant nothing. The Viper Collective backed down within hours. They won't forget this, Do-yeon warned that evening. They'll wait for another opportunity. Let them, Yi-sung said, his arm around Keisha's waist. They'll find I'm not the easiest man to threaten, especially now. He looked at Keisha when he said it, and she felt the weight of his promise. He would protect her, no matter the cost. She just hoped the cost wouldn't destroy them both. 3 weeks into their arrangement, Keisha woke to sunlight streaming through her windows and the scent of fresh coffee. She'd grown accustomed to luxury, the silk sheets, the endless wardrobe of designer clothes, the way staff anticipated her needs before she voiced them. But more than that, she'd grown accustomed to Yi-sung. His quiet presence at breakfast, reading news on his tablet while she scrolled through messages from her mother, his hand finding hers across the table. The way he looked at her like she was the only person in his universe. It was terrifying how normal it had become. Her phone buzzed with a message. Meeting ran late. Lunch at the garden pavilion. I have something to ask you. JS. Keisha smiled, typing back mysterious. I like it. See you at noon. She dressed in a flowing white sundress, not red, because she'd learned that wearing his color every day diluted its power. Save red for moments that mattered. Today felt light, easy, safe. She should have known better. The garden pavilion sat at the far edge of the estate, a traditional Korean structure overlooking koi ponds and cherry trees. Keisha arrived 5 minutes early, wanting to enjoy the peace before Yi-sung's intensity filled the space. She never heard them coming. One moment she was admiring the fish, the next a cloth pressed against her face, chemical sweet, suffocating. She tried to scream, but her limbs went heavy. The world tilted. The last thing she saw before darkness claimed her was a man's face, scarred and smiling. The Viper Collective hadn't forgotten after all. Yi-sung knew something was wrong the moment he entered the pavilion. Keisha's phone lay on the ground, screen cracked. Her sandals were scattered, evidence of struggle. And on the pavilion's pillar, spray-painted in red, we have your weakness. The world went silent. Then it erupted in violence. DOHYUN, his roar brought his second-in-command running. Find her, now. Boss, we don't know. The Viper Collective. Yi-sung's voice was ice and murder. They took her, they dared. He couldn't finish. Rage choked him, pure and absolute. Do-yeon paled. I'll mobilize everyone. No, Yi-sung turned, and his expression made hardened criminals step back. Mobilize the entire organization, every asset, every contact. I want eyes on every Viper Collective property within the hour. And Do-yeon? His smile was terrifying. Prepare for war. Within 30 minutes, the Min organization transformed into a military operation. Associates canceled meetings. Soldiers armed themselves. Informants were activated across Seoul, spreading a single message. Find the Nigerian girl or face Min Yi-sung's wrath. Yi-sung stood in his study, staring at Seoul's skyline while his phone exploded with reports. Nothing, no demands, no contact, just silence. The not knowing was killing him. Boss, Do-yeon entered, tablet in hand. We found something. Traffic cameras caught a van leaving the estate around the time Keisha disappeared. We traced it to a warehouse in Songpa. That's Viper territory. Yes, it's a trap. I don't care. Yi-sung grabbed his jacket, checking the gun holstered at his spine. How many men? 20 inside, best estimate. But boss, they want you to come. They want you emotional and reckless. Then they'll get exactly what they want. Yi-sung's eyes were black fire. Gather 50 men, we're going in loud. 50, that's... Overkill? Yi-sung smiled without humor. Good. I want to send a message that echoes through every criminal organization in Asia. You don't touch what's mine. They moved fast. 20 cars, 50 armed men, all converging on a warehouse that looked abandoned but radiated menace. Yi-sung didn't bother with strategy or stealth. He walked straight to the main entrance and kicked the door open. I'm here, he shouted into the darkness. Now give her back before I burn this entire district to the ground. Lights flooded on, revealing a large space filled with crates and shadows. And in the center, tied to a chair, was Keisha. Even from across the warehouse, Yi-sung could see the bruise blooming on her cheek, the cut on her lip. Red rage painted his vision. "She's alive," a voice called out. A man emerged from the shadows, the leader of the Viper Collective, a predator named Choi Sang-woo. "For now, but Min, you're outnumbered and outgunned. My men have weapons trained on her. One wrong move and she dies." "You think I came unprepared?" Yi-sung raised his hand. Red laser sights appeared across Sang-woo's body, sniper teams positioned on surrounding buildings. "I have 30 rifles aimed at your head, so let's talk terms." Sang-woo laughed nervously. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Yi-sung's voice was conversational. "Wave to the nice snipers, Sang-woo. They've been tracking your heartbeat for the last 5 minutes." The Viper leader's confidence cracked. "What do you want?" "Simple. Release Keisha. Walk away, and I'll only kill you instead of your entire organization." "That's not a negotiation." "You're right." Yi-sung pulled his gun, firing in one smooth motion. The bullet struck the chain holding Keisha's restraints. She fell forward, and chaos erupted. Gunfire exploded. Yi-sung's men poured into the warehouse, overwhelming the Viper Collective through sheer numbers and fury. But Yi-sung had only one focus. He ran toward Keisha, who was trying to get free of the broken chair. A Viper soldier moved to intercept. Yi-sung shot him without breaking stride. Another came from the left, dead before he raised his weapon. Nothing would stop him from reaching her. "Keisha," he dropped beside her, cutting through the remaining ropes with a knife. "Are you hurt? Did they?" "I'm okay." Her voice shook but held steady. "Scared but okay, you came." "Of course I came." He cupped her face gently, inspecting the damage. "I'd burn the world for you." Behind them, the battle was ending. The Viper Collective soldiers were either dead, surrendered, or fleeing. Do-yeon approached Sang-woo, who knelt with hands raised. "What do you want me to do with him?" Do-yeon called. Yi-sung stood, positioning himself between Keisha and everyone else. "Bring him here." Do-yeon dragged Sang-woo forward. The Viper leader was bleeding, defeated, terrified. "You hurt her," Yi-sung said quietly. "You put hands on what's mine. Explain why I shouldn't kill you slowly." I was just trying to." "Establish dominance, prove you're not afraid." Yi-sung crouched to Sang-woo's level. "You failed, now you die as a lesson. Touch Keisha Cross and you touch death itself." "Wait," Keisha's voice cut through. "Yi-sung, stop." He turned, surprised. "Keisha." "Killing him proves their point, that I make you weak." She stood shakily, moving to his side. "Show them something else. Show them I make you stronger." "What are you suggesting?" She looked at Sang-woo with cold eyes. "Let him live, but take everything else. His territory, his businesses, his reputation. Make him a ghost, alive but powerless. That's a worse punishment than death." Yi-sung stared at her, then smiled, slow and dangerous. "You're magnificent." He turned back to Sang-woo. "You heard her. You live, but the Viper Collective is mine now. Every territory, every asset, every soldier transfers loyalty or dies. And you," he leaned close, "you get to watch your empire become mine, knowing a woman you tried to use as a weakness destroyed you instead." They left Sang-woo broken in the warehouse, while Do-yeon's team secured everything of value. Yi-sung carried Keisha to the car despite her protests, holding her like she might disappear. In the back seat, privacy screen raised, she finally broke. "I was so scared," she whispered, tears falling. "Not of dying, of never seeing you again." Yi-sung pulled her into his lap, holding her tight. "I'm sorry. This is my fault. I should have protected you better." "It's not your fault, it's theirs." She pulled back, meeting his eyes. "And we made them pay." "We did." He brushed away her tears. "You were brilliant in there. Strategic, strong, everything I knew you were. I learned from the best." He kissed her then, desperate and relieved. She responded with equal fervor, pouring all her fear and love into the connection. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. "Marry me," Yi-sung said. Keisha blinked. "What?" "Marry me." His eyes were intense, certain. "I know it's fast, I know it's crazy, But today proved what I already knew: I can't live without you. You're not just mine, Keisha, I'm yours completely. Yi-sung. You don't have to answer now, think about it. But know this, I will spend every day proving I'm worthy of you. I'll build you an empire, I'll give you everything, just stay, be mine, forever. Keisha's heart thundered. This was insane. They'd known each other less than a month. But in that month, she'd seen his soul. His violence and his vulnerability, his possessiveness and his tenderness. And she'd fallen completely. Yes, she heard herself say. Yes, I'll marry you. His smile was blinding. Yes. Yes, she laughed through her tears. You're crazy and dangerous and way too intense, but you're also mine, so yes. He kissed her again, softer this time, a promise sealed. Behind them, through the front windshield, Do-yeon allowed himself a small smile. His boss had finally found something worth protecting beyond power. He just hoped they'd survive what came next. They married 3 months later in a private ceremony that was equal parts romantic and strategic. Keisha wore red, a stunning designer gown that turned her into a queen. Yi-sung wore traditional Korean formal wear, looking like he'd stepped from a historical drama. The guest list included allies who needed to witness the union and enemies who needed to see Keisha's official position. Mrs. Park cried. Do-yeon stood as best man, stoic but proud. And when Yi-sung kissed his bride, sealing their vows, Seoul's criminal underworld knew Keisha Cross was untouchable. The reception was lavish, champagne, music, dancing. But Keisha's favorite moment came late in the evening when Yi-sung pulled her aside to a balcony overlooking the city. Happy? He asked, arm around her waist. Terrified, she admitted, but happy. Good terrified or bad terrified? Good, the kind that means this is real. She leaned into him. We really did this. We did. He turned her to face him. And I have a wedding gift. Yi-sung, you've given me enough. He pressed an envelope into her hands. Open it. Inside was a legal document. Keisha scanned it, her breath catching. This is your legitimizing operations. Some of them, the shipping business is going fully legal. Same with our tech investments. I can't erase my past, but I can build a cleaner future. His eyes were serious. For you, for our children if we have them, I want to give you a life where you don't wake up wondering if I'll come home. Keisha's throat tightened. This is everything. You're everything. He pulled her close. I love you, Keisha Min, I'll love you until my last breath and beyond. I love you too, she kissed him softly. My dangerous, complicated, perfect husband. They stood there, wrapped in each other, while fireworks painted the sky. Two people from broken worlds building something whole together. The first year of marriage brought unexpected challenges. Yi-sung's uncle, T1, who'd been content to stay in the shadows, suddenly decided his nephew's marriage made him weak. He attempted a coup, rallying old guard members who resented Keisha's influence. You've gone soft, T1 declared at a tense family meeting. Legitimizing businesses, listening to a woman, our enemies smell blood. Yi-sung's expression was glacial. Careful, uncle, that woman is your niece now. She's a foreign interloper who? Keisha stood, every eye turned to her. Let me save us all some time. You think I've weakened Yi-sung? Check the numbers. Since I came aboard as strategic consultant, our legitimate profits are up 40%. We've expanded into 3 new markets. And our enemies? She smiled coldly. They're either dead, absorbed, or too terrified to move against us. She placed a folder on the table. This contains evidence of your embezzlement, T1, 3 million won over the last year, hidden in offshore accounts. I found it in 2 days. Silence. T1's face went pale. So here's what's going to happen, Keisha continued. You'll retire quietly to your estate in Jeju. You'll keep your pride and your life, but your voting shares transfer to Yi-sung. And you never interfere in family business again. She leaned forward. Or I release this information and you face consequences. Your choice. T1 looked to Yi-sung for mercy. He found none. You heard my wife, Yi-sung said quietly. What's your decision? The coup ended before it started. T1 retired. The old guard learned that Keisha wasn't just decorative, she was dangerous in her own way. That night, Yi-sung pulled her into his study. "You were incredible." "I was terrified." Keisha sank into his embrace. "But I couldn't let him undermine you." "He wasn't undermining me. He was insulting you that I cannot tolerate." He kissed her forehead. "You're my equal partner, Keisha, in everything. Even the illegal stuff." "I'm working on that," he smiled wryly. "Rome wasn't built in a day." She laughed. "No, but empires can fall in one. Keep reforming. I believe in you." "I believe in us." Their first child arrived 2 years after the wedding, a daughter with Yi-sung's eyes and Keisha's smile. They named her Soo-jin, Precious Jewel. Holding his daughter for the first time, Yi-sung wept. "I don't know how to do this." "Neither do I," Keisha said from her hospital bed. "But we'll figure it out together." Soo-jin changed everything. Yi-sung became more protective, more cautious. He accelerated the legitimization process, knowing his daughter deserved better than a father constantly looking over his shoulder. 3 more children followed over the next 5 years: Minjun, Haiwon, and Taeyong. The Min mansion filled with laughter and chaos, a stark contrast to the violence it once housed. Keisha found her calling in consulting, helping Yi-sung and other reformed criminals transition their operations legally. She became sought after, respected, powerful in her own right. But threats never fully disappeared. When Soo-jin was 7, the remnants of the Viper Collective tried one last play, a kidnapping attempt at her school. It failed spectacularly. Do-yeon's security team, now focused on protecting the family, neutralized the threat before it materialized. That night, Yi-sung sat his children down. "I need to tell you something about your father." "Yi-sung," Keisha started. "No, they deserve truth." He faced his eldest. "I've done bad things in my life, hurt people, made choices I'm not proud of, but everything I did to survive and protect what's mine." Soo-jin, wise beyond her years, took his hand. "You're a good appa now, that's what matters." His throat tightened. "You think so?" "You love us, you keep us safe, you make Iyama smile." She leaned against him. "That makes you good." Keisha's eyes filled with tears. This was the transformation she dreamed of. Not perfection, but progress. Not erasure of the past, but commitment to a better future. When Yi-sung was 40, and their youngest was 5, a journalist began investigating the Min family's history. The article broke on a Tuesday. From crime lord to business mogul, the bloody rise of Min Yi-sung. It detailed everything: the murders, the violence, the empire built on fear. But it also documented the transformation, the legal businesses, the charity work, the family man he'd become. The public response was mixed. Some called for prosecution. Others argued he'd paid his debts through change. The controversy threatened everything they'd built. "We need to respond," Do-yeon advised. "Control the narrative." "No." Keisha stood in their living room, the article spread across the coffee table. "We tell the complete truth." "Keisha." "She's right," Yi-sung said quietly. "I'm tired of hiding. If we want true legitimacy, we need to own all of it." They scheduled a press conference. Every major outlet attended. Yi-sung stood at the podium, Keisha beside him. "I won't insult your intelligence by denying my past. Everything in that article about my criminal activities is true. I hurt people, broke laws, built an empire on violence." The room erupted in questions. He raised a hand for silence. "But truth is complicated. I inherited my father's organization at 16. I was given a choice, become a monster or die. I chose survival." He paused. "That doesn't excuse what I did, but it provides context." He looked at Keisha. 15 years ago, I met a woman who saw past the monster to who I could become. She challenged me, changed me, made me want to be better." Keisha took his hand, facing the cameras. "I'm Keisha Min. I came to this country with nothing. I saw the worst of this man and chose to love him anyway because I believed people can change. And he has. He's spent a decade legitimizing businesses, creating jobs, supporting communities." That doesn't erase his crimes, a reporter shouted. No, it doesn't, Keisha agreed. But it matters. Transformation matters. Second chances matter. We're not asking you to forget. We're asking you to see the complete picture, who he was, what he's become, and what we're building together. Yi-sung added, I'll submit to any investigation. I'll cooperate fully with authorities. If charges come, I'll face them. But I won't apologize for surviving. I won't apologize for protecting my family. And I won't apologize for trying to be better. The conference ended in chaos, but public opinion began shifting. Stories emerged of Min businesses supporting local communities. Employees praised fair treatment. Former enemies spoke of Yi-sung keeping his word when he could have destroyed them. The investigation came. Yi-sung hired the best lawyers and cooperated completely. In the end, the statute of limitations had expired on most charges. For the rest, prosecutors declined to pursue cases against a man who'd clearly reformed. It wasn't perfect justice, but it was a form of redemption. For their 15th anniversary, Yi-sung surprised Keisha with a vow renewal ceremony. Intimate this time, just family and close friends. They stood in the same garden pavilion where she'd been kidnapped all those years ago. Yi-sung had transformed it into a symbol of their resilience. Beautiful roses now grew where violence once occurred. I'm supposed to have new vows prepared, Yi-sung said, holding both her hands. But the truth is my vows haven't changed. I'm yours, Keisha, every breath, every heartbeat. You saved me in every way a person can be saved. Keisha smiled through tears. You saved me too. You showed me that love doesn't have to be gentle to be real. That broken people can build something beautiful, that monsters can become men. She squeezed his hands. I'd choose you again, every time. They kissed while their children cheered, while Mrs. Park cried again, while Do-yeon pretended something was in his eye. That evening, alone in their bedroom, Keisha pulled out a familiar red dress, the one she'd worn that first night. Does it still fit? Yi-sung asked, eyes darkening with memory and desire. Let's find out. It did, perfectly. Yi-sung crossed to her slowly, reverently, like he had 15 years ago. You know what this dress means. That I'm yours. That you're everything. He kissed her softly. My weakness, my strength, my salvation. Just yours. Always mine, forever mine. They came together with the passion of new lovers and the tenderness of old souls. Two people who'd walked through fire and emerged as one. Keisha stood on the balcony of their home, watching Seoul's sunset paint the sky in reds and golds. At 52, she'd aged gracefully, laugh lines around her eyes, a few gray strands in her dark hair, confidence in every movement. Arms wrapped around her waist from behind. What are you thinking about? Yi-sung asked, his chin resting on her shoulder. Everything, how far we've come. Their children were grown now. Soo-jin ran the legal side of the family business, sharp and strategic like her mother. Min-jun was studying law, determined to help other reformed criminals navigate legitimacy. Haewon worked in humanitarian aid, channeling her father's protective instincts into global good. And Tae-young, their youngest, was making documentary films about redemption and second chances. Did you ever imagine this? Keisha asked. Back when I was just a maid in a red dress. Yes, Yi-sung turned her to face him. From the moment you looked at me, I imagined everything, building a life, having a family, growing old together. He touched her face tenderly. You made me believe impossible things could be real. You made me believe in love. They kissed, soft and familiar, a gesture repeated thousands of times but never losing its power. Do you have regrets? She asked. About the violence, yes. About the pain I caused, yes. He pulled her closer. But about choosing you, never. You're the best decision I ever made. Even when I'm difficult. Especially then, he smiled. You keep me honest. Keisha laughed. Someone has to. They stood there, wrapped in each other, while the city they'd once conquered stretched below. Two people from different worlds who'd found common ground in the most unlikely place, in the space between violence and love, between past and future, between who they'd been and who they'd become. The red dress still hung in Keisha's closet, preserved like a museum piece. Sometimes, on special occasions, she'd wear it, and Yi-sung's eyes would light with the same intensity they had that first night. Because some things never changed. The way he looked at her, the way she challenged him, the way they completed each other. Their story started with obsession, survived through violence, and transformed into the deepest love either had known. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was messy, complicated, real. But it was theirs. And that made it perfect. The end. From a red dress to a lifetime of love, Keisha and Yi-sung's journey proves that even the darkest souls can find light in unexpected places. Their empire was built on violence, but their legacy is love, family, and redemption. Sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't falling for a monster, it's believing you can change him. And sometimes, against all odds, that belief transforms everything. Did their story capture your heart? Drop a like if you're obsessed with their journey. Comment below, would you wear the red dress? What was your favorite moment? And don't forget to subscribe for more intense romance stories that will leave you breathless. See you in the next story. Kiss Red.